Hey guys, in this video I'm going to explain about elastic load balancer. Now before we actually start configuring elastic load balancer, let's look at the architecture of it. Now as you can see on this diagram, this is the basic architecture of elastic load balancer. Now this thing here is your Amazon account, and within this account you have selected one region. It could be any region, and within this region there are a couple of availability zones, and in each zone you have launched one EC2 instance. Now both these instances need to be of similar nature, means if it's a web server, both needs to be a web server, and we have put both these servers under elastic load balancer. Now elastic load balancer communicates with EC2 instances using these protocols: HTTP, HTTPS, TCP and SSL. Now here, this is your elastic load balancer owner. So you can access your elastic load balancer either via management console or using APIs or command line tools. Now this user here is the end user who tries to access your servers. Now let's say both these instances are web servers serving a website request, and this user is an actual user who is requesting for your website. Now this user communicates directly with your load balancer using these protocols. Now it's the job of your load balancer to send these incoming requests to the backend servers. Now it can send a request to any of this server using these protocols. Now the important thing is, if one instance goes down, your user will not come to know anything about it, because your load balancer still get those requests from this particular instance and send it back to the user. But if both servers goes down, then only your user will see that your website is down. So the main idea behind elastic load balancer here is to provide the high availability of your services. Now log into your management console, and you must have a couple of instances running here. Both these instances of similar nature. And then go to your load balancer and create a load balancer here. Here you can specify the name of your load balancer. This is the protocol of your load balancer and the protocol of your backend servers. So as I explained earlier, we have 4 protocols that we can use, as you can see here, for load balancer as well as the backend instances. So we'll keep this as the default only. And this is how your load balancer will check whether your instances are healthy or not. So since we have selected HTTP protocol, it will send a request on HTTP protocol port number 80 and request for a specific file. Let's say index.php. You can specify any file there, but it should exist on both servers. Now your load balancer expects that your web servers or your backend servers will respond in 5 seconds. You can increase it to 10 seconds. Now it will check your backend servers after every half a minute. Now here are a couple of thresholds. One is unhealthy threshold, the other is healthy threshold. Now let's say your load balancer tries to access your web server and it gets unresponsive, or it gets negative response from your backend server for 2 consecutive attempts. Then it will mark that server as an unhealthy server, and that server will not be the part of your load balancer. And let's say if it gets 10 successive positive response from your server, then it will include that backend server back into your load balancer, and that server will start serving the request as part of your load balancer. Now here you can specify the number of instances that you want to include in your load balancer. So it is always advisable that you should have at least 2 instances, and both instances needs to be in different availability zone. This is the summary. If you need to edit anything, you can still edit, otherwise just click on create and close. Now this load balancer will take a couple of minutes before it becomes active. As you can see here, the current status is out of service because the instance's registration is still in progress. It will take a couple of minutes before both of your servers will be registered in the load balancer, and you can then try to access your load balancer. So now both of your instances have been registered, and you can see here the status has been changed to in service. Now before we actually try to access the load balancer, let's go back to the instances, click on first instance and try to access it over HTTP. Copy this public DNS, now as you can see here, the index.php gives me PHP info simple page. Similarly, copy the DNS of your next server and try to access it in the same way. So it also gives me the PHP info page. So now you can consider this as your website. So both of your web servers are running with same set of your code and serving the same pages. Now let's go back to your load balancer. And here in the description, you can see the DNS name that has been automatically generated for this particular load balancer. Copy this domain and try to access your load balancer now. Now as you can see, it also gives me the same page which both of these instances has given me. Now what we have seen here is the user is going to access your website using the domain which will be pointed to your load balancer, and users are not going to access your web servers directly. Now what happens if one of my instance crashes? Let's stop this machine. Now once your second server will be stopped, try to access the URL of your second web server. And as you can see, this is not going to respond because it's taking too much time. The thing here is, the scenario that I'm going to present in front of you is that your one web server crashes. What happens then? Now try to access your URL which has been provided by load balancer, and still you can see you are able to access your page and the page has nothing wrong in it. So even if your one server crashes, your user will not experience this thing, and user will be able to access your website as the normal way. Now as you can see here, the second server is down and the connection has been refused. But if I try to access this again and again, I'm still getting my page because my one server is still up and running and the page has been served from this particular server. And because of the load balancer, I don't see this thing happened. So this is all behind the curtains which is happening, and normal user is not aware of this. Now this thing provides high availability solution to your services. That was all about load balancer, how you can create your load balancer, how you can configure the thresholds and all that stuff. Thanks for watching, guys.